Hi, good afternoon. I am Miranda Busey. I have been with the Department of Local Government Finance for the past 18 years and have been the primary field rep at one point in time for roughly half the counties in the state. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the department's role in the budget certification process. We're going to cover a little bit of the budget calendar, some of the certified net assessed values, our role in certification, how to avoid some of the more common budgeting pitfalls, some different budget scenarios, and the resources the department has available to you. DLGF budget calendar. We have posted the 2022 budget calendar on our website. This calendar does contain some of the key due dates and deadlines for the budget process. I don't know that it covers everything, and there will be some dates that don't apply to everybody, but we always encourage everybody to review the calendar when it comes out. The start of the budget calendar is really June 30th. Before then, the field reps have a little bit more time to talk with everybody, to train, to go over last year's budget forms. So in the next month and a half, if you have any questions, concerns, or something you want to learn a bit more about, that is the perfect time to reach out to your field rep to set up an appointment to discuss those. So June 30th is the deadline for the state budget agency to provide the maximum levy growth quotient to civil units and the department. It is also the deadline for the submission of the pre-budget survey. The pre-budget survey is extremely important. We do use the answers that you give us on that survey for some of our July estimates, as well as helping you through the budget process at the summer budget workshops. It is extremely important that everyone take the time to complete that pre-budget survey. July 15th, the department will start releasing those July estimates. We'll start with your maximum levy and miscellaneous revenue. So the miscellaneous revenue report will have some of those non-property tax revenues on it, like FIT, CVET, excise, ABC gallonage, cigarette tax, and these estimates are based on the historical distributions that your unit has received. With the releasing of that maximum levy report, we will also load that value on the Form 3 for you. July 15th is also the start of the department's summer budget workshops. Please remember these are voluntary, but this is your time to meet one-on-one with your budget field rep, discuss issues that are specific to your unit, and for us to help you make sure that you have met all your statutory due dates and deadlines and are within your statutory levy limits. Workshops will be held virtually through Microsoft Teams, and your field rep will start reaching out probably in the next couple of weeks to get these scheduled. If you're unsure how to prepare for the summer budget workshops, we did record a presentation on this last year that can be found on our YouTube channel. August 1st is the deadline for the department to provide each unit with an estimate of the property tax cap loss for the ensuing year. The department will post this report on our website and load this value on the Form 3 in Gateway Budget for you. August 1st is also the deadline for the county auditors to certify the net assessed values for the county to the department. As soon as county auditor submits that information to the department, we will make it available on the public side of Gateway. And we encourage every unit to go in and look at these certified net assessed values when they come in. These are the deadlines for the key dates for your budget. The last date for you to submit a Form 3 is October 12th. The last date for you to hold your public hearing is October 22nd. And the last date for you to adopt your budget is November 1st. We never recommend any unit waiting until the absolute last minute, but these are the final deadlines for each of these activities. You do want to look at these and see how they work in your calendar and make sure that you give yourself enough time for the unexpected to happen. The department has to certify budgets in the state of Indiana by December 31st, unless there's a unit in a county issuing new debt after December 1st, or if a unit has indicated the intention to file a shortfall appeal. If one of either of those happens, the department then has until January 15th to certify the budget order. Let's talk about the first number you're going to get for your budget, your certified net assessed value. Like I said earlier, the auditor's deadline to certify to the department is August 1st. And once it is certified, we will make this number available to you on the department's or on the public side of Gateway. You'll start by going to report search across the top, then assessed values, the certification of net assessed values detailed by district and fund. On that page, you'll be able to select the year. You can look at historical assessed values all the way back to 2012, and then you can select your county. And then you'll see a list of all the units in the county, all the funds from the prior year, and then the districts that are associated with that fund, along with a total for the fund. So when you go look at this, what should you review? Was there an unexpected increase or decrease in the total net assessed value? You know your districts a little bit better than we do. Did your assessed value increase unexpectedly? Was there a drastic drop that you were not expecting to happen? If you see an unexpected increase or decrease, I recommend you reach out to your county auditor as soon as possible, because if there is an error in the assessed values, we want to get that corrected as soon as possible. That's not just jeopardize budget certification and on-time billing. You also want to look and make sure that all the districts for your taxing unit are listed. Did your boundary change? So we've had a couple of libraries over the past couple of years that have extended into new townships. It is important that you check on the certified net assessed value to make sure that those new townships are part of your library districts when you look at the certified net assessed value. The DLGF's role in certification. The department is responsible for 3 main tasks when certifying your budget. Were the proper budget procedures followed? Are the property taxes within their statutory maximum amounts? And are the adopted budgets fundable by the available revenues and cash reported to us by the unit? So what are these proper procedures? The department's going to look and make sure that the notice to taxpayers was submitted a minimum of 10 calendar days before your public hearing. We're going to make sure that you had a minimum of 10 calendar days between your public hearing and your adoption meeting. We are definitely going to check that you adopted no later than the statutory deadline of November 1st. And that submission of all forms was within the 5 business days of adoption. When we start looking at the budget we approve, we are going to look at the lesser of what you advertise on your Form 3, adopt on your Form 4, or what is shown as fundable by the revenues and cash balances that we get from the unit. What is the highest levy the department can approve? Well, that is going to be the lower of your advertised levy, your adopted levy, your statutory maximum levy, or the levy that your adopted rate generates. This last one is key when you are looking at your estimated certified and net assessed value. When you use an estimated assessed value that is higher than what is eventually certified to the department, you will get a lower rate that may not generate the levy that you are wanting for your unit. It is important to be conservative in the assessed values so that you adopt rates high enough to generate the levy that you need for your unit. We're also going to check to make sure the adopted property tax totals stay within the statutory maximum amount. The adopted levy exceeds the maximum levy. We will reduce it back down to the maximum, and then that reduction will be applied to the adopted Form 4B, and the 4B will be reevaluated with the new revenue numbers. We're also going to make sure that your budget is fundable. Are the submitted budgets fundable by the available revenues and cash balances? This analysis is going to be comprised of checking for positive ending year cash balances, also known as your operating balance, and this is found on line 18 of your Form 4B. We are literally going to look and see if this number is positive or negative. So when you start building your budget in Gateway and you fill out your Form 4B, make sure you look down there at that bottom line to see if that is a positive or a negative amount. If that is in red and it is negative, you may want to look at cutting some of the current year expenditures or cutting expenditures for next year. Cumulative funds do have a little bit additional review. These are what we call rate-driven funds. And if the cumulative fund is not reestablished, we are going to look at the lesser of the statutory rate cap the adopted rate, or the last year's certified rate. You cannot increase the cumulative fund rate from one year to the next without reestablishing it. Debt funds also have an additional level of review. We are going to check the budgets and make sure they match the appropriate debt payments. We're also going to make sure that the debt payments are fully funded for the budget year. And we're going to limit your operating balance to the statutory limits based off the original closing date of each debt. Debts will be considered one at a time. And if a debt closed prior to June 30th, 2014, it will be allowed 50% of the ensuing years of payments as operating balance. And if it's closed after June 30th, 2014, it'll be allowed 15% of the next following year's payments as operating balance. Avoiding budget pitfalls. There are different types of errors that can be made during the budget process. We have fatal errors that would prevent the department from certifying a unit's adopted budget, levy, or rate. There are fixable errors that, if caught early enough, can be fixed and allow the department to certify the maximum allowable budgets, levies, and rates. Then we have procedural errors. Errors that may jeopardize the budget, may not just jeopardize the budget, but may impact the budget, levy, or tax rate the department can certify. If a fatal error occurs, the total budget and the total levy carries over from the prior year. This is referred to as continuation. So if we were having to continue Sample Township's budget for 2023, their budgets could not exceed $47,550, and their levy could not exceed the $27,513 that was certified for the township in 2022. So any growth in the maximum levy would not be allowed. Budgets are advertised by submitting the Form 3. The top section of the Form 3 is going to contain your date, time, and location for both the public hearing and the adoption meeting. We at the department are going to load in your operating or your maximum levy and your property tax caps. The bottom half of the Form 3 is going to contain all of your funds, the individual budgets for each of the funds, the levies you're looking at for each of the funds, any excessive levy appeals that you are intending to file with the department. We will load in your current year tax levy, and then column 6 there is one to definitely keep an eye on, and that is going to be your percentage change from the current year to the budget year in levy. So fatal errors that can occur on the Form 3. Failure to submit the form by October 12th. Failure to submit the form a minimum of 10 days prior to that public hearing. Failure to advertise 10 days between the public hearing and the adoption meeting, and failure to hold the meetings on the dates advertised. It is extremely important that you work with your board to come up with meetings that will work before you submit the Form 3. If you hold your meetings the first Monday of every month, remember that the first Monday in September is Labor Day. Are you holding a meeting that day, or do you need to move it to Tuesday or the second Monday? You'll also want to talk to your board about when they have any fall vacations scheduled or anything like that, or any other holidays or events in your community that would prevent you from holding a meeting on a specific date. Fixable errors on the Form 3 would be advertising a budget or levy that is too low. This is where it becomes extremely important to look at that column 6. If you are seeing a drop in levy in one of your funds, did you intend to do that? Failure to advertise for pending appeals, or advertising at a value that is lower than what you're planning on submitting to the department. If you see that you have any of these kind of errors, please reach out to your field rep as soon as possible so that we can help you through the process to fix these errors. So best practices for the Form 3. Verify the budgets on the Form 3 match the desired spending levels on Form 1. We have worked very hard to help you with making sure the numbers flow through each of the forms, But there is still the possibility of going back to the Form 1 and making a change on the budget and not having that pull all the way into the Form 3. So double check that the budgets on the Form 3 are what you are intending to advertise. Compare the advertised levy to the maximum levy on the Form 3. If your maximum levy is $50,000 and you only have $45,000 worth of levy advertised, are you meaning to be $5,000 under your max? It is perfectly acceptable to be under the maximum levy. You just need to be aware of it and make sure that that is what you are intending to do. Confirm your board members can attend each meeting. Like I said earlier, discuss with them when they're going on vacations. Do they have any planned surgeries? Do they have any other obligations that would stop them from being at the meeting? It is important that both at the public hearing and the adoption meeting, at minimum, you have a quorum of your board. Ensure that the Form 3 is submitted at least 10 days before the public hearing. 10 days is the minimum. Feel free to mark down that you're going to submit that 2 weeks prior so that you're doing that on the exact same day that you'll do the public hearing. And if those meeting dates or times or even your location need to change, contact the department as soon as possible. We do have procedures in place already to help you with moving those dates on the Form 3. Budgets are adopted on the Form 4. Your Form 4 is going to contain the name of your adopting body, the date of your adoption. Again, it's going to list all of your funds, the budget you're intending to adopt, the levies you're intending to adopt, and the rates you're intending to adopt, along with all of your board members. You're going to fill this out in Gateway and then print it out and take it to your budget meeting for your board members to mark their vote and sign. So fatal errors that can occur on the Form 4, not holding the adoption meeting on the date advertised in the Form 3. Like I said earlier, if you need to move your adoption date, please contact us and we will help you with that. Board members not both marking their vote and signing the form. We need both of those filled out for it to be considered a valid vote. Not having a quorum at the adoption meeting, or unintentionally adopting budgets, levies, or rates of $0. We see this every year where at least one unit has submitted a Form 4 that has no budget, no levy, no rate. Please review this form before you take it to your meeting and have your board members sign it. So best practices, compare budgets and levies on the Form 4 against what was advertised on the Form 3. Again, you get the lesser of what was advertised on Form 3 or adopted on Form 4 by fund. So if there is a change from the Form 3, is that one you intended to make? Verify the budgets on Form 4 match the desired spending levels on Form 1. Compare the adopted levies to the maximum levy on the Form 3. Again, if your maximum levy is $50,000 and you're only adopting $45,000, are you intending to be under your maximum levy? Again, perfectly acceptable. You just need to be aware and intentional. Compare the tax rate against last year's adopted rate and certified rate. Remember, your cumulative funds get the lesser of the prior year's rate or the rate you adopted this year. So pull your certified budget order and check your cumulative funds. Is your rate at least what it was certified at last year? Your adopted rates from this year to last year, are they roughly the same amounts? Did they go up drastically? Did they drop drastically? And ensure all your board members are listed on the Form 4. And before you leave that adoption meeting, double check that everybody's done their vote and their signature. What are some of the different budget scenarios? The budget is a spending plan that considers both planned expenditures and available revenues. The department's certification is a determination of fundability and fundability only of the adopted budgets. The unit itself will have to do additional analysis locally for terms of fiscal planning and cash flows. A funded budget has an anticipated end-in budget year balance of at least $0. The estimated current year ending cash balance plus the budget year revenues is equal to or greater than the budget year expenses when the budget would be approved as adopted. The department will confirm that the budget is fundable. We will not evaluate if the budget is sustainable. So in this example, the unit is estimated to have a December 31 cash balance of $100,000 to carry over into the budget year. And they're looking at bringing in new revenue in the budget year of $200,000 for a total of $300,000 of available cash. Their budget is $250,000. This is considered fundable, but they are spending down their cash balances by $50,000 for the year. It is possible to have a fund with an ending cash balance of 0. This would mean all of your cash reserves are spent, and there's a possibility that you're going to have cash flow issues as you start the year and wait on that June tax draw. Similar example, we're still looking at that 100-year carryover cash balance and $200,000 of revenue for the budget year for $300,000, and this time their budget is $300,000. So it is expected to end the budget year with $0, and the unit is still going to have to figure out how to operate between January and June on small amounts of miscellaneous revenue while they wait on that large tax draw in June. It is possible to prepare a budget with a negative ending cash balance. The cash reserves plus revenue is less than cash reserves plus revenue is less than the expenses for the budget year. The department will reduce the budget down to the fundable amount. All cash reserves will be depleted, and there is a good possibility that cash flow issues will occur for the unit. So in this example, again, that $100,000 of carryover cash, the $200,000 of new revenue, but they adopted a budget of $350,000. When they filled out their 4B in Gateway, they should have been able to look at line 18 and see that negative $50,000. This would have been but when this comes to the department, we are going to reduce that budget down to the fundable amount of $300,000. For a sustainable budget, the expenses are equal to or less than the revenue estimated to be received for the same time period. If you have a sustainable budget, this will not spend down your cash reserves and might help build cash reserves and lessen any issues with cash flows. So in this example, we're going to ignore the line 9 amount for their cash balance at December 31st, and we're going to look at line 14, budget year total revenues of $200,000, and line 17, total 2021 expenses. So their total revenues for the budget year are $200,000. And they're asking to spend $175,000. This is going to build cash balances for the year of $25,000. When the department certifies a budget, it does not analyze the proposed budget's effect on projected cash reserves beyond the point of fundability. Officials are responsible to ensure that there are adequate cash reserves to support their priorities, such as sufficient cash flows and building cash reserves for future projects. Resources. Your number one resource in the department is your local field rep. We're here to answer any questions, explain changes in procedure. We can help with answers on new legislation. We can look over your budget and help you avoid common mistakes and pitfalls. We can double check that the dates that you're planning on advertising, having your public hearing and adopting meet the statutory deadlines. We can make sure that you are at your maximum levy and that you've met all of these other requirements. Please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We have our memos and presentations. When you click on memos, we have archives to our memos for the past 3 years. This will give you an idea of when our memos are published every year. So if you're sitting there thinking about an excessive levy appeal, that memo doesn't normally come out till September, but you can look last year, see roughly when it came out so you have an idea when to look for it this year, and then you can go over last year's memo and have some idea of how the process and procedures work while you wait on any changes in this year's memo. Our county-specific information is an extremely important area for you to go. When you click on this, you'll start with a list of all 92 counties, and then below it will be each of these statewide reports. When you click on your county, you will start by seeing the certified budget orders for the past 5 years, and then the county specific reports. When we do post new reports, we post them at a statewide level first, and then we will break them out into each individual county. On county-specific information currently, you can find those prior year budget orders, our actual circuit breakers that we posted last week, and as our July estimates are completed, they will be posted here as well. So what are some of the July estimates that the department provides to you? We will provide a certified local income tax report. This is issued 3 times a year. It's issued in August, in October, and then in November. And it will be based on the county's lit configuration at the time the report is issued. So it is possible for them to change between the August and the November issues if your county adopts a change in their lit configuration between August 1st and October 30th. We will post a report that helps counties determine their maximum mental health and developmental disabilities appropriations. Libraries have to stay within the growth quotient or they have to go for binding review. So we will post the maximum budget that a library can adopt and remain non-binding. We will release a report that helps you with the calculation of the estimated cumulative fund maximum rates. So again, we're trying to make sure that you adopt a cumulative fund rate that is at minimum prior year's rate. We will release a report that estimates the property tax cap credits by unit and max levy type. You have the calculation of your estimated maximum levies and the estimated debt service payments and levies. Now, this estimated debt service payments and levies is a report we put together based on how you fill out your debt worksheet on the pre-budget survey. Again, it is extremely important that you take the time to fill that out and make sure that that information is correct. We'll also issue the estimates of non-property tax revenues for things like CVET, FIT, excise, ABC gallonage, cigarette tax. And then we'll give you a worksheet to help you determine your December property tax collections for the bottom line of the current year financial worksheet that translates to line 2 of your Form 4B. We have our DLGF webinar page, which will list all the current webinars that we have given for the year, along with their videos and PDFs. You can go there and sign up for our legislative overview on June 15th, or our gateway overview on September 21st. And then we have some assessment ones that if you're interested in, feel more than welcome to sign up for those as well. We also have our past DLGF presentations under Memos and Presentations. And these again will hold your video and your PDF of the PowerPoint presentation. And I look at each of these presentations as a starting point. One of the biggest issues I hear from anybody new to the job is they don't know what to ask. So feel free to go look at these older presentations. We have given them on Circuit Breaker. We have given Budget 101. We have given ones on how to prepare for workshops. You can start with the presentation and then go back to your field rep with a few more questions if you don't understand what's given in the presentation. I always consider them a starting point for the conversations. Gateway user guides are extremely important. There is a user guide for every application in Gateway, not just for the department. So under the department, you have budgets, debt management, and economic development reporting. Then you have several State Board of Accounts reports for your 100R and your annual report, just to name a few. And then those IEERB reports. Your user guides will help you with pictures and walkthroughs on how to fill out each and every application in Gateway. And then our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime you have any questions. If you don't know who your field rep is, definitely use this link to go to our budget field rep map, and that will give you the contact information for your field rep. Are there any questions?
Yes, we do have a few questions. The first one, and if anybody has any questions as we go through these, please enter them into the Q&A chat bubble, and we'll get to those as they come in. Our first question is, are the 10 days to advertise public hearings and adoption meetings include weekdays only or include weekends?
They do include weekends and holidays. It is calendar days that we are looking at.
Okay, next question. If the budget is not approved by November 1st, will the new budget automatically be set to the same budget as the current year?
We still have to make sure that the budgets are fundable. The maximum budget you could have would be the current year budget. But if you were not showing enough revenue to support that budget, we will reduce the budget to what is allowable by the revenues that we are showing.
Okay, our next one. Does a quorum of the board need to be present at the public hearing? We've usually had members of the finance committee, board members, conduct the hearing, but it usually is only a subset of the board and not a quorum. The complete board is always present for the adoption meeting.
There should be a quorum of the board at your public hearing, yes.
Okay, our next question. Is there a percentage of the budget that DLGF recommends a unit have as a buffer?
There is no set percentage that we recommend to have as a buffer. You need to look at what your projected expenses are going to be based on the revenue that you're going to receive before you get that tax draw, to make sure that there's enough there to sustain operations until you get your biggest paycheck.
Okay, our next question. Can you discuss TIF not being budgeted for fire per SBOA?
No, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by TIF being budgeted for fire.
So whoever submitted that question, if you can either expand on your question, since it's listed as anonymous, or you can follow up with your field representative afterwards, and they'll try to track down an answer for you. Our next question is, can you show us where to find the past 5 years budgets again?
Okay, so we've got just start at the DLGF website. Over here on the left, we have county specific information. List of all 92 counties. I'm just going to pick Adams as the first one. And then as soon as you click on that, there are the past 5 years budget orders.
And just below that, where on that same screen, you see the budget orders, the reports that Miranda talked about for the specific counties are just below that. And if you keep scrolling, you will see the prior year's reports. And then under that will be our assessment related reports for their ratio studies. So if you are looking for any type of information, it's going to be on that county specific report. If you would come across where a report doesn't link correctly, or you're getting an error message of some sort, please feel free to email me, Jenny Banks, at the email address that sends out all the memos, and we'll be, or on the contact information page, and we'll be able to get that updated and corrected. Okay, we do have a follow-up question for the, can you discuss the lit certified shares? And then I go back, not being budgeted for per SBOA.
My understanding is the current guidance from State Board of Accounts is that the lit certified shares should go into the general fund. Other than that, you would honestly have to speak to them on how that is supposed to work.
Thank you. Okay, we did have a question that this is not a budget related one, but it is related to the webinar. You can, we had some questions about the credit for the CE credit for the webinars. So all you need to do is submit the form. It is self-reporting. So you would complete the form and submit that to, if it's the assessor related credit for CE, you would submit that to Donna Bradshaw in our office. If it is for any other organization or you are a different elected official, you will need to follow up with your county, or I'm sorry, your association or your organization, and they will be able to provide you with information as to how to submit or if you retain that information. Okay, our next question is, can the transfer to rainy day from general occur in any month, or is this limited to the end of the year? I understand there is a % threshold, just curious about timing.
Yes, you can transfer from your funds into the rainy day fund at any point in time during the year. The current percentage is 15% for the next couple of years, and then it goes back to 10%. To make sure that the proper procedures are followed for that transfer, I would recommend reaching out to State Board of Accounts.
Okay, and then the rainy day transfer amount is 10 or 15%.
It is currently 15% until 2025 when it drops back down to 10%.
Thank you. Our next question is, how long before we hear from DLGF on our additional appropriations?
Most of the additional appropriations are an automatic response. If it is one of those that your field rep has to review, we are trying to make sure that those are all reviewed within 15 days. If you haven't heard back, please reach out to your field rep to see if they can't help you figure out what is going on. I have had a couple of units that when they reached out, they had filled everything out. It was beautiful. It was perfect. And then they forgot that final submit button.
Okay, we have another CE credit question. Where do we access the form for the credit certificate? Is the link to the form emailed to us. We do not provide a certificate. Your CE form that you complete, we will email that to you for you to fill out, as well as it'll be on the webinar page. So you will have that, and you will either submit that form to the department if it is for assessor credit hours, or you will need to contact your association or organization to find out how you need to submit that to them. So we do not provide certificates. It is self-reporting, so you will fill out the form. Okay, our next question is, like many municipalities, the city is falling behind on completing our approved and budgeted projects, and even the purchase of trucks, police cars, and other capital assets because of contractor and supply chain issues. What is some general advice you can give us for carrying over these funds and preparing our next budget?
In general, you have two options. One is you can, at the end of the year, you can encumber funds into the next year. And I would definitely reach out to State Board of Accounts to make sure that you have all the proper paperwork in order to encumber from one year to the next. Or you can do a resolution to reduce appropriations for things this year and just do a higher budget next year with those items in next year's budget.
Thank you. Our next question is, the new lit safety tax we approved, does the city council have to approve all appropriations related to the lit safety tax?
So the lit public safety should go into its own fund. And yes, this fund should be appropriated each year. But if you're talking about the specific expenditures after it's been appropriated, that is going to be more of a local control issue and probably follow the same general guidelines that you use for your general fund expenditures.
Thank you. Our next question, what are some best practices for including capital expenses in our annual budgets?
On your Form 4, it's broken up into several sections. We have personal services, supplies, other services and charges, and capital outlays. So you definitely want to put them in the capital outlays area and probably put a lot of your big purchases on a regular update schedule so that you're not trying to do too many of those capital purchases at once. And so maybe you replace a couple of computers one year and then some office equipment the next, so that it's more evenly spread out across each of your budget years so that you can work towards that sustainable budget.
Okay, our next question, when does the money in the levy excess fund need to be returned to the appropriate fund it came out of?
Your authority to transfer out of levy excess back into the regular funds comes on your certified budget order. We would love to have all that taken care of by June 30th at the absolute latest, but you should be able to do that as early as January 15th when the budget orders are posted on our website.
Okay, our next question, where do we find our maximum levy?
So again, it's going to be under that county specific information. And then under reports, so right there's the, just had it a second ago. the 2022 calculation of estimate maximum levy. So when we get the growth factor from state budget agency, we will create a report for 2023 maximum levies and we will post them right here.
Okay, will there be any additional training for new incoming auditors for 2023?
We definitely recommend for all new people to reach out to your field rep, talk to them, go to our YouTube site, check over any of the presentations that we have out there. Like I said, they're a good starting point for learning the different areas of the department and starting some of those conversations.
Okay. Our next question is, can DLGF help us get to a certain rate?
Yes, we definitely can help you with a target tax rate. You're going to want to reach out to your field rep so that we can either talk about that at summer budget workshops, and we can talk about the different ways that we can do that to make sure that by the end of the 1782 period, you are at that target tax rate.
Okay, our next question is, when speaking about 10 or 15% transfers into rainy day, what is that percent from? Is it a percentage of your total budget?
It is the lesser of the 10 or 15% of total certified budgets or your unexpended, unencumbered balances. So if you have a $100,000 budget, the cap at the 15% would be that $15,000. But if you have spent $95,000 of your budget, you can only transfer $5,000.
Okay, our next question. Since State Board of Accounts has requested not to exceed a fund to be higher than 4.0, where are we supposed to document circuit breaker amounts into our software?
You shouldn't be documenting your circuit breaker amounts in your software at all. They are on your Form 4B, but these are going to be amounts that you don't receive in your property tax draws. So they are already taken out before you ever receive your money.
Okay, our next question is concerning local income tax received. My understanding is that we must now place any lit tax income in the general fund. Is this correct? Will we be able to still transfer 10% of our funds into rainy day, or I'm sorry, 15% of our funds into rainy day from general?
Yes, it is my understanding from State Board of Accounts, they want your lit certified shares deposited into the general fund. But no, that does not have any effect on the ability to transfer 15% from the general fund to the rainy day fund.
Okay. How do I handle spending more on assistance than I have budgeted?
Anytime that you need to spend more than what you were approved to budget, you would want to go through the additional appropriation process. This is going to be permission to spend the money that you have, and it's going to require you to have a public hearing, a minimum of 10 days. I'm sorry, it's going to require you to advertise a minimum of 10 days before a public hearing. At that public hearing, your board will adopt a resolution approving the additional appropriation, and then you will enter that information into our additional appropriation application in Gateway. If you have any questions on how to fill out the advertisement, the adoption resolution, or even how to enter it into our system, please reach out to your field rep.
Okay, the next one is, with starting next year, everything goes in the general fund. So will all accounts be under the general fund?
No, you will still have your separate funds. Because certain revenues have to go into certain funds. So you get your local road and street and MVH that have to go into their own funds for cities and towns. The townships are going to have general township assistance, and they definitely want to keep their fire funds, because if they get rid of the fire fund, they will also lose the levy for that fire fund.
Okay, we just have a few left that have been submitted previously. Our last one is, I will answer this one. Will this presentation be recorded so I can watch it more than once? Yes, we do have a video of this presentation that will be available. You can share it with other local officials. You can share it with your staff. You can watch it multiple times. We will have it available on the link on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. As Miranda mentioned earlier, we have a number of different past presentations that are great starting points, or even refresher courses on various topics. So if you have any questions about those, please feel free free to reach out to your field rep, and they can give you some direction on which ones would be very beneficial for you. And as along with also the new officials as they come in at the end of this year and beginning of next year, you'll want to make sure that you reach out to the associations or if there are other newly elected officials, have them reach out to their appropriate association as well as State Board of Accounts and DLGF to make sure that they do have their most current email address on file, so that we can get information out to them, as well as identifying themselves as a new official so that we can get all the appropriate access that needs granted for them, and as well as contact information so we can make sure that everybody is current and up to date on any changes or anything that needs to be shared. So I think that covers all of the questions that we had pre-submitted as well as submitted this afternoon. We'll leave this open for a few minutes here. If you do have questions, you can enter them into the chat box and we will get that out. As far as the FAQs here, we will get written answers to all the questions that we covered and share that on the webinar page as soon as that's available. And so just thank you all for attending, and thank you to Miranda for giving us our great presentation today. Thank you.